signals of imminent dangers. Before the community has much to see, we are up here waiting to warn of rising.
Hey guys, cooldomino here. This will be a video on how to make your contactors or motor servers in your RCM A2 series a lot quieter. So this is the blower contactor. Actually, I'm gonna get the decimal meter so I can show you. So as you can see, the blower contactor is pretty noisy though. So here's the decimal meter. So if I do the blower here, that's that one. If I do the chopper, you see it's a lot quieter now. Sometimes it gets a little noisy, but most of the time it's quieter. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So you need to have electrical experience, so make sure all power to the RCM is completely disconnected. See, I just unplugged it, so now it won't turn on. And I'm going to work on the blower starter now, so I'm going to reposition my tripod real quick, and I'm going to zoom in onto the blower contactor just like that. So yeah, so power's off. It's a good thing. What you want to do first is you want to go ahead and start and just remove this cover. This is a little bent here though, but how you remove this front cover here, you just lift up on this lever here, like that, and then there's another lever back in here, and you just push in like that, and then pull the cover off. You can just set that aside. Have all your hardware in place. It's also a good idea to get some photos as well of the contacts basically. Make sure you get everything all wired correctly back to where it was. The only wires you need to disconnect is this wire and all these wires up here. So make sure you remember where these wires go, or take a picture so you would know how they'll go back together. That's what I like to do. I like to take a picture. Now, just go ahead and start unscrewing. You don't have to unscrew them all the way. Sometimes you need a longer screwdriver though. Sometimes it can be pretty tight. That one's not coming off though. Form an awkward position with the camera in the way. That one not coming off. That one's not coming off. I'm gonna come back to that one in a sec though, and try this one here. This one's coming off. Sometimes you might need a little bit of penetrating oil to get in there though, to undo all these screws here. Yeah, now these wires should come loose though, but leave them in place for now. Also, you might want to undo this wire as well. This is like your power line for the contactor. Pull that out. And I'm going to try to get after this one again. I'm going to turn off the camera and I'll get this screw undone and I'll be right back. Alright then, so now I got this undone now. Then I can loosen this no problem now. I thought I pushed hard though in order to get that undone. But now, you want to remove this bar right here. This is the contact bar. So I'm going to use a smaller screwdriver actually. So I can undo these screws all the way. These screws you take out all the way. All you really need is just some screwdrivers and some sort of cleaning agent. I'm going to take this one out too. Just like that. Now you're going to set this somewhere where you can find all the hardware. Like where this cover is, I recommend keeping all that together. So I'm going to put all the hardware together. Now the contact bar is free. So you can see now the contact bar is off though. Here it is right here. Try not to mess with these too much though, because these will fall out and you might drop them, you might lose them. So now you want to take your bigger screwdriver and take them all the way. There's some threads on the actual contact assembly themselves, so you want to go ahead and unscrew this like that until it's free to come out. Again, set this with the rest of them so you won't lose them. So now you do the same thing with this one. Don't worry about these top contacts here because you already undid the wiring up here. You're going to go ahead and unscrew this one down here. This one appears to be attached to the overload relay. You can easily disconnect the overload relay by simply just undoing these three big screws here. There we go. Now this is kind of interesting. You have to lift up and rotate towards me basically. I'm gonna lift up just like that. Sometimes it's a little tricky to get out though. Like sometimes you can mount and you can't, but you guys have to maneuver it. There you go. Now I got that out. That one's free. This one can come out now. Flew at me. It looks like it's coming out. There we go. Now there's 2 more screws you need to undo. There's 1 screw up here, and there's 1 screw down here. Those are the 2 screws you're going to have to undo, and then now the block should be able to come out. Contact block. Be careful turning these because you don't want your screwdriver to break any of the plastic. These should come out fairly easy, especially if you're taking them off before. There you go. Everything should be free now. And I'm going to pull these wires out, making sure keep them all organized so you would know how they'll go back in basically. That one comes out, that one comes out, and that one comes out. This needs to be loosened up a little bit more. Now the block itself should be free. So what you're going to do, you're going to grab it from the back, or from right over here, and you're just going to simply pull down. There we go. And you just pull down like that, kind of like a fire alarm pull station, and you simply tip it out. You can see this one right here. It's very rusty on the inside. I'm going to show you how to clean it real quick. Now the first thing I like to do is I like to use a little bit of vinegar and a paper towel. Let me get a paper towel. I use a little bit of vinegar. I would use 20% vinegar or 30% vinegar if I have it though, but I only have 3% right now, so I'm going to use some of this stuff. Simply wipe off the rust on here. Now this is all just basically rust and dust, rust dust pretty much. And wipe that down. You can see it's picking it up nicely, the vinegar. Clean these up nice and neat, just like this here. And maybe you might want to clean up all around the rust dust as well. Once you get everything cleaned up. Another thing I like to do is take a wire brush wheel like this one here, and I'm going to chuck it up in the drill, so I'm going to get the drill real quick. Since you're using a wire wheel though, I highly recommend putting on some safety goggles. So I'm going to put some safety goggles on, redirect this a little bit, there we go. I'm going to chuck up my wire wheel, like that. There's a little bit of dust on there. And basically you want to go nice and slow. See, all that dust is coming right off. Now you can see that looks a lot cleaner now. See right there. So I'm going to set this down for now. And I'm going to work on the other end of it, which basically up here, the seed part of the contacts. It's up in there. So this red block right here is the coil right here. Down here is the contacts. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to get some vinegar and some, you're using a paper towel, and you're just going to wipe down a majority of the rust. I won't recommend taking out anything though. I mean, you could take the coil out if you need to though, but I don't recommend doing that because you have to disconnect more wires to do that. There we go. Now, you do the same thing. You're going to take your wire wheel and you're going to try to clean carefully. Try not to scratch the plastic, but the scratches are not too big of a deal as long as you don't get to the windings in the coil. Just like that. Your core is nice and clean now. Now I'm going to start putting everything back together. So to put everything back together, you're going to take your contact block here, put it back in the way you pull it out, move those wires out of the way, just kind of let that sit in there. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten these screws here. Now here's where things get important here. Remember that photo you had just taken of the wiring though? You want to go into that photo, and this is the photo I have taken here, and you're going to hopefully get everything wired up correctly back to where it was before. Alright, that looks pretty good. Now, what I like to do before I start assembling the rest of the thing, I'm going to power this up here. So I'm going to plug in the step-up transformer to go to the siren. Alright, now this is the chopper. Remember the chopper before? Still a little noisy, but it's better. And this is the blower. You can see you can barely hear it. I actually might take the chopper one back apart so I could clean it with the brush wheel. Okay. That's very quiet. So now that I know that's working, I'm going to start putting the rest of this back together. And to do that, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm done with the wiring. The wiring is all set. This power's off now, so you can see nothing's happening. And now I'm gonna start putting my contacts, other end of the contacts back in here. Like that one goes there. So now this is important here. If you're working on another contactor has a different contact like this here, let me zoom out real quick. This is basically, you want to line up the smallest contact with the smallest contact on here. Like basically it's the smallest one here, and these three bigger ones are for these the right three right here. So I'm going to zoom back in so you can see that small contact right there basically goes with here. And put that in like that. Now I want to hold this in place. You can push it in if you want to though, and thread this in as well. Do the same thing on the other side. Just go ahead and push it in just to get started. And now go ahead and take your screwdriver, tie it in all the way. Alright, now the last step is to put the protective cover on. Make sure it's legible, put in place, there you go, and lock down the top bar. And now, that's how you make a starter, not that one, that's how you make a starter a lot quieter. Like that right there, you can see it's on now, that's off. Sometimes it gets noisy like that, but most of the time it should stay quiet. All depends on which position it energizes in. See, chopper one's a little noisy though, but not as bad as the rotator, which is this one down here. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'll try to answer them. Other than that, please like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day.
Heed all warnings, and you won't be mourning. All loud cry, signals of imminent dangers. Before the community has much to see, we are up here waiting to warn of rising seas and raining trees. Whether or not our heads turn, our systems react, because we know about floods, tornadoes, and attacks. Heed our warnings and you won't